From Capitol Hill, we have both Independent Senator Angus King of Maine and Republican Senator Mike Rounds of South Dakota. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, great. Senator King, I'll start with you. We're going to try and look at the positive, the hopeful signs here, and I'll ask you, given that this process has had a lot of fits and starts, and there was this argument or debate over the president's vulgarities, moving forward, what was the win for the Democrats in this so that they could maybe have an honest negotiation moving forward and feel whole here?
Well, before I answer that question, I think there was a win for the American people, which was the fact that there were 25 moderate senators from both parties who really got deeply involved in this process and did shuttle diplomacy, and I think contributed to ending the shutdown. In terms of I think Mitch McConnell, a couple of important things happened. Number one, he committed to bringing a bill to the floor on a date certain. Number two, he talked about a neutral, level playing field, a neutral bill in order to give us an even chance to get at this issue. And then finally, and this hasn't been much pointed out, if you recall, earlier last week and for the prior couple of weeks, Mitch McConnell said, I'm not going to deal with this issue because the president hasn't told us yet what he's for, and we'd only be spinning our wheels. As of yesterday morning, Mitch McConnell said, we're not waiting for the president anymore. We're bringing a bill to the floor on February 8th. If we can't get it resolved before then, and Mike and I are both involved in discussions that started within hours of the vote yesterday to try to get to an agreement on the DACA border security issue. So I think that was positive, and you know, I quoted Mick Jagger on the floor the other night. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need.
We're for any Mick Jagger quote on this show, so we'll give you that one. Senators, it's Willie Geist. It's good to see you both. Senator Rounds, you've said in a tweet, among other things, that with the shutdown coming to an end, now we can, quote, permanently address DACA. What does that mean to you exactly, to permanently address DACA? Because there are a lot of progressives, a lot of Democrats who are suspect of the motives of Leader McConnell and don't believe there will ever be a deal that protects DACA recipients. Would you be willing to vote for a bill that exchanges protection for DACA recipients in exchange for border security?
I think that's what the bill will finally end up with, will be both border security, a limitation on additional illegal immigration, but also addressing the issue of DACA for these young people that really know no other country other than the United States. We need workforce. We need their talents. This is a positive thing for our country. And I think we need to get past this point. I think we need to get past the issue. And if we can do a combination of those where we take care of answering and responding to one of the president's requests with regards to his campaign promises, and at the same time also take care of these individuals who are here in the country right now, get them into the workforce and give some stability in their lives, I think we've got a win-win situation. And maybe along the way we can actually do something about the H-2B visa issues as well.
So border security is sort of a catch-all term, and we don't drill down on it very much. What do you mean when you say border security? Does that mean a physical wall on the border, and what else?
You know, we actually had some real discussions about that, because if we're talking about border security systems, there are some places where a wall is the appropriate way to handle it. In some places, that may very well be electronic surveillance, a wall you can see through. There may be some cases where it's simply a matter of appropriate fencing. But in all of it, you've got to have the proper manpower. It's a system. It's not necessarily just a structure. Along with that, and part of the discussions we had is you got to have your laws in such a fashion that you actually don't invite illegal immigration, so that you get back to the point of allowing legal immigration. That can be a part of this discussion. We may not get all the way through it, but we most certainly have to take care of the DACA issue and the border security side of it in this discussion, and we don't have a lot of time in which to get it done.
Senator King, what would be the stumbling blocks for you in whatever comes to the floor of the Senate? It sounds like you've just had Senator Rounds. We had Tom Cole on just a few moments ago saying this is basically about border security for dreamers. What happens if the White House also wanted to have, say, an end of chain migration in there, family migration, and the end to the visa lottery system? Are those the kinds of hurdles that might get thrown in that would make it difficult for you to vote for this kind of a deal?
Well, I think you've identified a significant issue, and that is what we're trying to focus on is not the whole immigration issue. There are lots of them, and believe me, once you dig into it, it gets connected and it gets very complicated very fast. What we're trying to focus on is border security and the DACA issue. Now, you know, we're going to have to develop a bill that attracts hopefully 60 or 70 votes. I think that's the path forward here. If the Senate can come to a bipartisan bill that has a supermajority, then the President and the House have to pay attention. That's really the strategy. So, you know, I'm not saying anything is off the table, but I keep saying in these meetings, and we had 2 of them yesterday after the end of the shutdown vote, we can't try to do comprehensive immigration in 3 weeks. Let's keep it as narrow as possible so that we can get something realistic done.
Senator Rounds, DACA, chain migration, border security, you know, you discussed it all. You discuss it all each and every day. If at 8 o'clock this morning you had to go across the street and take the floor of the United States Senate and describe what you feel is the president's position, what he wants to do with a new immigration bill, how confident would you be that you could outline exactly what this president believes?
I don't think the president has an exact position. I think at this point what he knows is that he's made a campaign promise that he will do border security. He's identified it as a wall. People have a visual of a wall, but it's really a border security system. Along with that, he's indicated his real desire, and I really do believe that he wants to address the issue of DACA. He wants to see that fixed. He's going to talk about a contract between the two or a connection between the two. I also think that when you start talking about that, now you get into the nuances of these young people eventually having a road to citizenship in the future. And so I think what he's done is given us plenty of leeway, but at the same time, I think people say, well, if you're giving them leeway, then you're not being exact in your discussions. I think at this point, we're in a good shape to offer some stuff. And I think as long as we help him achieve his goals, and I think he can come out of that saying, I've made progress once again, then I think he's going to be more than willing to work with us on the total package and what it takes to get it done. And I agree with Angus. We're not looking at just 60 people in the Senate. We really want to have closer to 70 people on this and really make it a bipartisan approach that'll it'll actually stand the test of time.
Okay, and Senator King, first of all, it's a great day for America every time you're on TV in the morning. We appreciate it. And secondly, Senator, if Mick Jagger was with you looking for the 70 votes, would he have a problem with the fact that out of 49 Democrats in the United States Senate, maybe up to 40, as many as 40, are going to be running for president of the United States, thus taking
only 40?
thus taking you into the issue of identity politics, getting into the way of getting something accomplished in the Senate on immigration. Do you worry about that?
Well, I think it's something of an issue. It always, you know, they used to say it's hard to get things done in an election year, but around here it seems like every year is an election year. I think that's one of the problems. But no, I think there are enough people. Again, if we can keep the focus on DACA and border security, I think we can come up with something that'll work. And I don't know, my ideal bill would be one that would have 35 or 40 votes on each side, not necessarily pleasing everybody on either side of this debate. By definition, if you're working with compromise, and that's what we've got to do here, that's the way our system works, you're not going to make everybody happy. But I do think, and you know, I think there are plenty of people, and I've talked to a lot of Republican senators one-on-one who are genuinely concerned about DACA, who are genuinely concerned about these kids, and are willing to talk about path to citizenship. And if we can, you know, we got to get the Democrats in talking about border security and those kinds of things. I think there is a path forward, but it's not going to be easy, I can tell you, because the danger is, and we talked about this in one of our meetings yesterday, you can attract Republican votes and lose Democratic votes. So we've got to try to build from the middle out, and that's exactly what we're starting later today.
Senators, Noah Rothman from Commentary Magazine. That's sort of what I want to drill down on. I know we're being very specific about border security, but that is what is at issue here. I think we understand that Senator Schumer according to him, came to Donald Trump and put border security on the table. His staffer said it was north of the $2.6 billion that was originally in the Graham-Durbin proposal. Are we to understand that we're going to have something more substantial than that, and that Graham-Durbin is basically a non-starter from the Democratic perspective?
You know, I'm not sure that it's an excuse me. I'm not sure it's a non-starter. I think for some Republicans, it may be a non-starter, but I'm one of the folks that said, look, I'm going to support this path moving forward, but I disagree with some of the concepts in the bill itself, but I'm willing to work on it. I think with regard to the to the wall or to the border security system that we talk about, we know that this is not a one-year process, but there's got to be some assurances to the president that we're going to give enough resources or set enough resources aside where we can actually not just start it, but get a long way down to getting it finished. Because once we do the DACA fix, then we've still got to have the incentive for Democrats to help finish the rest of the border security. Those are the types of nuances that we're going to have to work our way through.
So just to understand, Graham-Durbin is still really the template from which we're working here.
We're actually trying to move away from that as being the template and talking about the different concepts that were found in there, but not limiting it to just those. And so, yeah, some of the pieces that were in Graham-Durbin will still be there, but we may very well need other things as well.
I'm searching. I've asked we're working on a side-by-side with the Graham-Durbin provisions, the 2013 border security provisions, which were pretty extensive, what DHS is telling us now they think they need. So we're going to have at least 3 menus, if you will, to choose from, and the question is, how do we put something together? And this is real stuff. I mean, we're talking about what will be effective, what will be the most efficient and effective way to secure the border, and at the same time not waste the taxpayers' money and come up with something that works.
All right, Senators Angus King and Mike Rounds, we appreciate you both getting together this morning. Come see us. I'm sure there'll be a lot more to talk about in the next couple weeks, and maybe some more Rolling Stones references as well. Gentlemen, thanks very much. We appreciate it.
I love that.
All right, Joe, what do you make of what you heard? Beyond